and welcome to Razz Reviews. Today, I'm going to be reviewing 1917. You have to excuse me, my throat is a little bit messed up because I just had an operation, so I might not say things well or might not pronounce things well, so bear with me. 1917 is directed by Sam Mendes and it follows the story of two soldiers who are tasked with delivering a message to basically stop an attack from happening. Sounds simple. It isn't. But that's the thing, the story and the objective is actually very simple. But that's not what makes 1917 such an interesting and important movie. It's the way that this film was shot and made. This movie is made to feel like it's a one continuous take from beginning to end. It's not like we haven't seen that before. I mean, we've seen that in things like Birdman, and we have Rope by Alfred Hitchcock, which was actually an entire film from one take. So I went into this thinking it's gonna be cool, but after I saw it, it wasn't cool. It was actually mind-blowing. This movie is sorcery. It's not just shot to look like a continuous shot where there's, small cuts here and there that are hidden. There is that, but it's actually a lot of actual long continuous shots that are exteriors using natural light over very difficult terrain. It's crazy. The whole time I was watching this movie and all I can think about is like, how did they do this? I was 100% convinced that there was some sort of trick, that maybe there's some sort of CGI element to it, or maybe there's some weird robot arm jib that hovers that they're shooting with. And then after I saw the movie, I went and I looked at the behind the scenes footage. It's not a trick. They actually shot it the hard way. You have a bunch of ACs running around carrying cameras over rivers and over trenches, and it has some sort of magical stabilizer on it because they're doing this rigging and de-rigging and handing the camera from one person to another and from one machine to the other while the shot is still happening. Like, what? This is what happens when you have a wizard as your director of photography, which is what Roger Deakins is. He's a wizard. That's the logical explanation. This guy's not normal. They're shooting in sunlight. They don't have any light setups. They have only like 2 or 3 hours to shoot something, and they're doing these insanely choreographed long takes in open fields with extras. Oh my God, like when you look at the behind the scenes, it's baffling. It's literally taking filmmaking to a whole new level. But away from all that technical mumbo jumbo, let's talk about the film itself. The film itself is actually amazing, and this technique that they use lends itself so well to the story. It's not just a gimmick like, hey, we're just doing it. No, it actually puts you 100% in the emotion and in the beats of the story. The idea is that these guys have to cross very difficult terrain and do a very difficult, isolated, scary journey into like enemy territory to reach a certain point. So the story is very, very simple, but that process is what it's all about. And putting us, the audience, in that process, physically, literally, really worked because I felt like I was walking with these guys in this terrain and in these forests and in these areas. And I was just as scared and just as terrified as the characters probably were, which is fantastic. It made the movie so riveting and gripping, and it kept me on the edge of my seat. This movie is so intense in all the best ways. Of course, I gotta talk about the production design and how when we're walking through these areas, especially with walking through the trenches, which is what was famous for World War I, is those long stretches of trenches where people were just living in these disgusting holes in the ground. And for the first time ever, I felt like I was there. And the production design is just amazing. The way that they set it up and built it. Again, it's not a trick. It's not CGI. It's actually there. They built it and you walk through it and it's just so unbelievable. It's like a tour down history. I loved it. I really felt like I was there, walking through the mud, going through the barbed wire, which, by the way, killed more people in World War I than bullets did. It's just so amazing to be able to bring this piece of history to life in such a way. If you're a fan of history and if you're a fan of wars and World War wars, this is basically war porn for you. It's incredible. What I liked about it so much is that it kind of felt like a video game because it felt like I was a character, like a first-person perspective walking through with these guys. And it really made me just so nervous, and it made me on the lookout constantly for danger in the corner, because there's never like a cut to a dangerous area. So you actually, as an audience member, never know where the danger is coming from. And that's exactly what happened in that kind of war, is that you get attacked from nowhere. Like the people shooting at you, you never even see them. And this happens in the movie. You don't know where the bullets are coming from. You don't know where the danger is. You just know it's dangerous and we have to get the hell out of here. Like, I've never watched a movie where I was terrified of trees. Just absolutely terrified of trees. Oh my, every time a tree passes by, I say, oh God, it's a tree. Oh, someone's in it. Oh, we're gonna get shot at. Another incredible aspect of this movie is the sound design. Like most war films, they always have incredible sound design because of all the audio elements that you hear in that situation and how it puts you in there. But also the score and the music is beautiful. I loved the music in this film. It made it so emotional. This movie is actually very emotionally powerful and very emotionally resonant. And that has a lot to do with not just how it was acted and how it was directed, it does, but also I think that the music and the sound design and the soundtrack really helped make it so impactful. You leave it feeling shaken emotionally. That's how I felt. The only thing that I would say is not that strong about 1917 is in terms of story and script. I mean, the script is beautiful, it's very, very simple, but there isn't really much there in terms of story. The film doesn't really focus on narrative as much as it focuses on the experience, kind of like Dunkirk. If somebody's looking for like a heavy emotional story or a complicated plot, this is not the place to be. And even in terms of characters, that's where they suffer, because there isn't a lot happening in terms of character development or character building. It's just they don't really leave an impact as characters. Some people might not like the fact that it's not very heavy on the action. Don't go into this movie expecting something like Saving Private Ryan. It's a lot more intense and slow and scary than it is epic and action heavy, which is basically what World War I was. World War I was not a big action battle heavy war. It was more people hiding in trenches and then getting out of trenches into no man's land, getting shot, and then trying to advance little by little into enemy territory. It was actually a very long and tedious kind of warfare. At least that's what I know from, history. It does have a few really cool action sequences, but again, nothing too big. Otherwise, I thought this movie was absolutely incredible. It redefines the war genre. I haven't seen anything like it. I've seen similar styles and similar uses of techniques, but as a whole, as an experience, I haven't seen anything like this. I think it's an incredible piece of cinema. It was such a big, huge surprise, a very pleasant one, and definitely you cannot miss this movie on the big screen. Watch it in IMAX, watch it in a Dolby theater, because it's visually incredible, and you can't just watch it on a small screen. It really will do a disservice, and it's just not going to be the same. This is a theater film. If you're interested in seeing it, go see it in a theater. The bigger, the better. I loved it. I really enjoyed it. I'm so glad I saw it. It was one hell of an experience. I left it just shocked. I couldn't even talk about it for a couple of days. And so I'm going to give 1917 a 9 out of 10. So, have you seen 1917? What do you think about it? What are your favorite war films? Put it in the comment section, and also let me know what you think about its prospects in the Oscars. I think it deserves a lot of awards. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section, and as always, like, share, and subscribe, and don't forget to ask me what you'd like me to review for you next. See ya!